Why does a man who walked away suddenly want to return? Why does he come back after leaving you broken? Is it love or is it guilt, regret, or something much deeper? Listen closely, because what I'm about to tell you will shake your soul. A man never truly values what he has while he has it. He doesn't sit down and appreciate the warmth of your presence, the depth of your love, or the unwavering loyalty you offered him, because to him it's just there. Constant, unshaken, predictable. And the predictable never excites him. The problem is, human nature is often blind to the blessings that stay, but it mourns the ones that leave. Imagine a child holding a toy. He plays with it every day, tossing it around, dragging it across the floor. He never thinks twice about its worth, because it's always within reach. But the moment another child picks it up, suddenly he wants it back. Not because he cherishes it, but because it was his. This is how many men behave in relationships. While you are there, while you are giving, nurturing, loving, he sees you, but he does not value you. Not because you're unworthy, but because he never had to fight for you, never had to wonder if you'd be there tomorrow. And this illusion of permanence makes him careless. But the day you walk away, the day your voice stops calling his name, the day your scent fades from his pillows, the day your energy no longer wraps around him like an invisible shield, that is the day reality slaps him across the face. Suddenly, he notices the silence, he feels the emptiness. He hears the echo of everything you ever said, but now it is too late. Look at life. How often do we take the simple things for granted? The air we breathe, the health we possess, the people who check on us daily. It's only when we lose these things that we realize how irreplaceable they were. A man operates in the same way. He walks away thinking you will always be an option. He believes he can explore, waste time, and return to you whenever he pleases. But the day he sees you thriving without him, the day he realizes someone else is appreciating what he dismissed, that is the day his illusion shatters. Have you ever seen a man scrolling through old messages at 2 a.m.? and looking at the good morning texts you used to send, rereading the words he once ignored? Because now he is craving the love he took for granted. Now he understands that no woman will ever look at him the way you did, with pure, unconditional love. The world may give him admiration, but it will never give him you. And that is a loss greater than any heartbreak. But the truth is, this realization does not come from love, it comes from regret. And regret is the cruelest teacher. It does not arrive when things can be fixed, it arrives when the damage is permanent. It arrives when you have already healed, when your heart no longer beats faster at the thought of him, when his name is nothing more than a passing memory. And that is when he starts chasing. Not because he has changed, but because he wants the comfort of what he lost. Think of a man who had a diamond but treated it like a rock. He tossed it aside, thinking he could always find another. But when he sees someone else treasuring it, polishing it, wearing it like the priceless jewel it is, he suddenly realizes its worth. But by then, it is no longer his to claim. This is why men come back, not because they have suddenly become better, not because they have discovered some deep sense of love. They come back because they finally see what they lost, because distance has shown them what their ignorance concealed. And that is the saddest irony of life. Some people only learn to appreciate light after they have been left in the dark. A man's ego is a fragile, hungry beast. It is never satisfied, never full. It constantly craves attention, admiration, and control. The moment you stop feeding it, it starts to panic. Not because he loves you, but because he can no longer use you as a mirror to reflect his own greatness. Think about a man walking through a crowd. Every head turns, eyes filled with admiration, people whispering about how strong, charming, or successful he is. He doesn't stop to think about who truly sees him. He only cares that people see him. But what happens when one person, just one, stops looking? When one person, you no longer turn your head, no longer send the texts, no longer wait for his call. His entire sense of power crumbles. The male ego thrives on control. If he knows you are waiting for him, hoping for him, crying over him, he sleeps well at night. It gives him a sense of superiority, a quiet assurance that he still holds a place in your mind. But the day you stop responding, the day your energy shifts, the day you act as if he never existed, that is the day his ego takes a hit so hard, it shakes him to his core. Imagine a man sitting at a poker table, confident, relaxed, knowing he holds the best hand, but suddenly, the player across from him pushes the cards away and walks out. You are no longer playing his game. The money on the table means nothing now because the real power was never in the game. It was in who was willing to stay and play. And when you leave, you take away his sense of importance. That is when the panic sets in. Look around, this is not just about love. This is human nature. People do not chase what they already own. They chase what is slipping through their fingers. A celebrity ignores millions of fans, braves the attention of the one person who doesn't care. A boss values an employee the moment they resign. A friend realizes your worth when you stop answering their calls. A man who hurt you suddenly remembers you the moment you become unavailable. It was never about love. It was about validation. It was about knowing that you were still emotionally, mentally, and spiritually attached to him. But the moment you cut that cord, he feels lost. The moment he realizes you no longer need him, no longer care, no longer give him the privilege of affecting your emotions, he spirals. Have you ever seen a man post something online, hoping you'll react? Maybe a song you both loved, a vague quote, a picture meant to remind you of what once was. He doesn't do this because he misses you. He does it because he needs to know that you are still watching, that his presence still lingers in your mind, that he still has power over your emotions. But the most terrifying thing for him is your silence. Think of an actor performing on stage. The applause fuels him. The cheers give him life. But what if one day the audience stops clapping? What if no one shows up to watch? He may still act, but now he questions everything. He wonders, am I still important? Do I still have that impact? A man's ego works in the same way. As long as you react, as long as you cry, as long as you show pain, he knows he still matters. But the moment you stop, the moment your world moves on without him, he crumbles. And that is when he comes back. Not because he has changed, not because he suddenly respects or loves you. He comes back to see if he can still affect you, to test if he can still make you feel something. Because as long as you feel something, anger, sadness, longing, he knows he still holds a part of you. But the greatest power you hold is indifference. The moment his presence no longer excites or wounds you, the moment he becomes nothing more than a faded memory, is the moment he realizes he has truly lost. And that realization is the heaviest weight a man's ego will ever carry. Regret does not knock on the door when life is loud, when distractions are plenty, when the world is moving fast. Regret waits. It waits for silence, for stillness, for that one moment when a man is finally left alone with his thoughts. And when it comes, it does not whisper, it roars. A man may walk away from you with confidence, thinking he has made the right choice. He may laugh with friends, drown himself in work, or seek temporary comfort in someone else's arms. But no matter how far he runs, no matter how many voices surround him, there will come a moment when the noise fades. And in that moment, regret will creep in like an uninvited guest sitting next to him in the dark, forcing him to face everything he lost. Think about a traveler who leaves home in search of adventure. He is excited, eager, chasing the thrill of the unknown. But after months, after years, when the excitement fades, when the rush settles, he starts to crave the warmth of the place he once took for granted. He remembers the comfort, the familiarity, the love that asked for nothing in return. And suddenly, every foreign land feels empty, every journey feels incomplete, because the one place that truly mattered is no longer waiting for him. A man does not feel regret when he is surrounded by people who tell him he made the right choice. He does not feel regret when he is busy, when his mind is occupied, when life keeps moving. Regret strikes in the quiet moments, when he lays in bed at night and turns to the side where you used to be, when he picks up his phone but finds no new messages, when he realizes that no one checks on him the way you did. Picture this. A man sits in his car late at night, parked in a familiar spot where he once spent hours talking to you, The silence is deafening. He scrolls through old messages, rereads conversations, listens to a song that once had no meaning but now carries the weight of every memory. He remembers the way you laughed, the way you cared, the way you made his world feel lighter. And suddenly, he feels something he never expected, an emptiness that no distraction can fill. It was never about losing you. It was about losing the way you made him feel. Because no matter how strong he pretended to be, no matter how much he convinced himself that he could replace you, there is one truth he cannot escape. No one else loved him the way you did. And that realization does not come in a crowded room. It comes when he is alone, when there is no one left to impress, when his ego can no longer protect him from the truth. Have you ever walked through a house filled with old memories? Every corner, every object, every scent reminding you of someone who is no longer there? This is what regret feels like. It turns every ordinary moment into a painful reminder. The coffee shop where he once met you feels different. The jacket you bought him carries a weight he never noticed before. The jokes he used to share with you now feel empty when told to someone else. Regret does not just remind him of what he lost. It makes him relive it over and over again. And the hardest part? He cannot undo it. He cannot go back to the moment he walked away. He cannot erase the words he said, the mistakes he made, the love he overlooked. Regret is not a second chance. It is a punishment. A silent, torturous realization that what he once had, he will never have again. He may try to reach out to see if you are still there, to see if you will respond, to see if he can get back even a small piece of what he lost. But deep down, he knows the truth. You are no longer waiting. You are no longer the same person who once saw the best in him despite everything. And that is what regret does. It does not just remind him of the past. It makes him realize that his biggest mistake was believing you would always be there. There is a kind of comfort that cannot be bought, borrowed, or easily replaced. It is the warmth of a presence that asks for nothing but gives everything. It is the security of knowing that no matter how chaotic the world becomes, there is one person who will always make you feel at home. But the tragedy of human nature is that we often fail to appreciate what is freely given until it is gone. A man does not realize the depth of comfort you brought into his life while he is still wrapped in it. He takes for granted the way you remembered his smallest details. The way you knew exactly how he liked his coffee. The way you could sense when something was wrong even before he said a word. The way your voice had the power to calm storms he never admitted he had inside him. He does not stop to think about the emotional shelter you provided, the silent support, the effortless way you made his world feel lighter. Imagine a man walking through life with an invisible weight on his shoulders. Stress from work, pressure from society, battles within himself that he never speaks about. And then there was you, the place where he could rest. The one who made those burdens feel lighter without even trying. The one who turned his bad days into bearable ones. The one who stood beside him not because he asked, but because you saw him in a way no one else did. But here is the truth. People rarely cherish comfort while they still have it. When something is constant, it is often overlooked. He did not notice the way your presence softened his world until he had to live without it. The absence of comfort is not immediate. It creeps in slowly. It starts with small moments, the lack of a good morning text, the missing warmth in conversations, the realization that the one person who truly cared is no longer there. One day he will wake up and reach for his phone, expecting to see a message from you, only to remember that you are no longer a part of his mornings. He will come home after a hard day, instinctively wanting to hear your voice, to unload his worries the way he always did, but there will be no one there to listen. The world will feel colder, harsher, not because it changed, but because you are gone. Picture this. A man walks into a house that once felt like a home. The lights are still on, the furniture is the same, but something is missing. The warmth, the energy, the love that once made the space feel alive. It is no longer there. That is what your absence feels like. He will try to fill the void, surround himself with distractions, maybe even replace you with someone new. But what he will learn, painfully and slowly, is that comfort is not about the presence of a person. It is about the depth of connection. And connections like yours do not come twice. He may try to recreate it. He may search for someone who listens like you did, who understands him without words, who offers him peace without conditions. But he will find that what you gave him was not ordinary. It was rare. It was not something he can replace because it was not built on convenience or circumstance. It was built on you. And no one else is you. Have you ever worn a jacket that fits just right? The perfect warmth, the perfect comfort, something that feels like it was made just for you. And then one day you lose it. You try to find another one, but nothing feels the same. Some are too tight, some too loose. Some look good but do not feel right. That is the difference between someone who truly cares and someone who is just there. He can try to replace you, but the truth will always haunt him. No one will ever fit his soul the way you did. And the worst part, he had it, and he let it go. He walked away from the one person who made him feel safe, the one person who never needed a reason to care. And that realization will hit him in the quiet moments, in the spaces where your presence once lived. He will sit in that silence, feeling the weight of the comfort he took for granted. And by the time he understands its worth, it will be too late. A man's mind does not move in a straight line. It moves in cycles. Unlike women, who often process emotions in real time, deeply feeling every moment as it unfolds, a man's emotions operate differently. He does not continuously hold on to the depth of a moment. Instead, he stores it away, only for it to resurface later, sometimes weeks, months, or even years down the road. It is not that he does not feel, it is that he feels in phases, in loops, in delayed waves that crash when he least expects them. This is why a man can walk away from a woman who loved him deeply and for a while feel nothing but freedom. At first, he enjoys the space. He believes he made the right decision. He distracts himself with work, with friends, with meaningless entertainment. He tells himself that life is better this way, that he does not need anyone, that he is moving forward. But the mind is not so simple. It does not erase, it only postpones. Think about the seasons. Summer does not mourn the end of winter when spring arrives. But give it time, and winter always returns. This is how a man's emotions work. He convinces himself that he is over you, that your absence does not affect him. And for a while, it seems true. But life has a way of circling back. A familiar scent, an old song, a place you once went together. Suddenly memories flood his mind, and he feels what he thought he had left behind. Imagine a man who once had a steady, loving presence in his life. You were there, in the background of his daily existence, offering your kindness, your warmth, your loyalty. He did not think much of it while it was there. He assumed you would always be around. But when you walked away, he did not immediately process what he had lost. He was too focused on the space he had gained. And then one night, when he is alone, his mind will cycle back. Maybe he sees another couple laughing in a way that reminds him of how you once looked at him. Maybe he hears a joke and instinctively thinks of sharing it with you, only to realize he cannot. Maybe he lies awake, staring at the ceiling, and for the first time, truly feels the weight of what he let go. A man's regret does not arrive in a grand moment of realization. It sneaks up on him. It arrives in fragments, in echoes of your presence that refuse to be forgotten. He might push it away, drown it in distractions, tell himself that it is just nostalgia, but his mind will bring it back again and again until he can no longer ignore it. Think of it like a boomerang. A man throws it into the air, convinced that it will keep going forward, that it will never return. But the force of his own actions ensures that it must come back. This is the nature of his emotions. He can push you away, he can run, he can even convince himself that you never mattered. But eventually the cycle completes. And when it does, he is forced to face the reality he tried to escape. It is in these moments, these quiet, unexpected moments, that he begins to understand. He sees that what he thought was freedom was actually loneliness in disguise. He realizes that what he once saw as space was actually an emptiness that cannot be filled. And he knows deep in his bones that what he lost is not something he can easily replace. Because the truth is, no one loves a man the way a woman who truly cares does. No one offers the same patience, the same unwavering support, the same deep, unconditional understanding. And once he sees it, once the cycle brings him back to the reality of what he lost, he will feel it in a way he never did before. The weight of it will settle in his chest, and for the first time he will understand. But by then the cycle may have turned in your favor. The woman he once took for granted may have already moved on, already built a new world without him. And that is the hardest lesson a man must learn. That his mind may move in cycles, but time does not wait. And sometimes, when he finally realizes what he lost, there is no going back. A man's ego will not allow him to believe that he has truly lost you. Even if he walked away, even if he hurt you, even if he made you feel like you were not enough, there is always a part of him that assumes you will still be there, waiting. Because that is how many men operate. They believe access is their birthright, not a privilege that can be revoked. So what does he do? He tests the waters. He throws out breadcrumbs, little hints, to see if you will still respond. He does not want to admit regret yet. He does not want to come crawling back just in case you have truly moved on. No, he needs to check first. He needs to see if the door he once walked through is still slightly open. It starts small. A random text. Hey, hope you're doing good. No real meaning, no real depth. Just a way to see if you will still engage. If you reply, he feels a sense of power. He tells himself, she still thinks about me. But if you don't respond, if you leave him in silence, that is when the fear starts creeping in. A man who once took you for granted does not panic immediately. At first, he assumes you're playing hard to get. Maybe you didn't see the message. Maybe you're just trying to make him wait. So he tries again. Maybe he reacts to your story on social media, just an emoji, nothing too obvious. Maybe he accidentally calls you just to see if you will pick up. Maybe he reaches out through a mutual friend, casually dropping your name in conversation. He wants to see if you're still within reach. If you respond, if you acknowledge his presence, he knows he still holds some level of control. But if you remain silent, that is when things shift. That is when his mind starts working against him. He starts wondering, has she really moved on? Now understand this, when a man tests your accessibility, he is not always coming back with pure intentions. Sometimes it is just his ego needing reassurance. He does not want you, but he also does not want you to be completely out of his orbit. He wants to know that he could still have you if he chose to. And that is the moment you must recognize your own power. Think of a store that has a luxury item on display. If it is always available, if anyone can walk in and touch it, it loses its value. But if it is behind glass, if it is exclusive, if it cannot be reached by just anyone, suddenly its worth increases. That is how you must see yourself. If you make yourself easily accessible, he will never value you the way he should. But if you stand firm, if you refuse to respond to his weak attempts, he will begin to understand that you are no longer within his grasp. A man who truly wants to return will not just test you, he will prove himself. He will not send a half-hearted, I miss you text at midnight. He will not watch your stories but never reach out with real effort. He will not casually slide back into your life without accountability. No, a man who truly realizes your worth will come back with action, not just words. But most men do not start with action. They start with tests. They want to see if they can still occupy space in your mind, in your emotions, in your heart. And when they realize they cannot, when they see that you are no longer waiting for their return, that is when the real regret begins. Because a man's biggest fear is not losing you. His biggest fear is realizing that you no longer want him back. That you have found happiness without him. That the door he assumed was always open has been shut, locked, and sealed. That is when he truly understands what he lost. There is no escaping the weight of one's own actions. A man may walk away thinking he is free, thinking he has moved on without consequence. He may believe that the way he hurt you was just a passing moment. Something you will forget, something he will forget. But life does not work like that. The universe has a way of balancing things, of making sure that every action finds its equal reaction. At first, he feels nothing. He goes about his days, distracted by new faces, new experiences, new excitement. He convinces himself that what he did was justified. Maybe he tells himself, she'll be fine, or worse, she didn't really care that much anyway. He does not sit with the pain he caused. Not yet. Because distractions keep him from feeling it. But distractions do not last forever. There comes a night when he is alone. No more noise. No more people. Just silence. And in that silence, the echoes of his past begin to speak. The words he said to you, the way he left, the way he dismissed your love, it all comes flooding back. And suddenly he realizes that he cannot outrun himself. Guilt does not announce its arrival with a loud bang. It creeps in, slow and steady. It starts as a thought, a memory he cannot shake. He sees someone wearing a perfume that reminds him of you. He hears a song you once played in the car together. He stumbles upon an old picture and suddenly he is right back where he left you. But now, he sees it differently. He starts to remember the things he overlooked, the little details of you, how you always checked on him when he was quiet, how you forgave him even when he didn't deserve it, how you stood by him when he was lost. He begins to realize that what he took for granted was something rare. And that is when the guilt turns into something deeper, regret. But life does not just let a person walk away without consequence. This is where karma steps in. He moves on, thinking he will find someone better, thinking love is replaceable. But what he finds instead is a lesson. The women he meets do not have your kindness, your patience, your understanding. He starts to see the difference between attention and real love, between momentary attraction and deep connection. Karma does not always strike like lightning. Sometimes it works like a mirror. It makes him face himself in ways he never expected. Maybe one day he finds himself in your shoes, loving someone who does not appreciate him, waiting for someone who takes him for granted. And in that moment, he understands what you felt. He understands the pain he once caused. And when that realization hits, it is no longer about missing you. It is about wishing he had done things differently, wishing he could go back and undo the damage. But karma does not work like that. It does not offer second chances without a price. He will look for closure, but the door has already closed. He will want to reach out, but the person he once knew is no longer there. Because karma did not just come for him, it transformed you. It made you stronger, wiser, more powerful. And nothing makes a man regret his choices more than seeing the woman he once had become someone he can never have again. Loneliness is not just a void, it is a mirror. It does not simply leave a man alone with his thoughts, it forces him to face them. When he first walks away, when he first decides that he no longer needs you, he believes that freedom is waiting for him on the other side. He thinks the world is filled with endless possibilities, that he will drown himself in excitement, in distraction, in the temporary highs of a life without you. At first, he enjoys it. He fills his days with people, laughter, noise, anything to convince himself that leaving was the right decision. He surrounds himself with new faces, hoping that one of them will make him feel the way you did. But here's the thing about real connection. It cannot be replaced by mere presence. A room full of people can still feel empty when the right one is missing. Loneliness does not strike all at once. It waits. It lingers in the background while he keeps himself busy. It lets him believe for a while that he has escaped it. But then comes the moment when he is alone, not by choice but by fate. The parties end, the texts slow down, the calls stop coming. The world that once seemed so full starts to feel hollow. And that is when loneliness makes its presence known. It does not just whisper, it roars. It reminds him of everything he overlooked. The warmth of your voice when he was struggling. The way you made even the dullest days feel special. The way you listened, really listened, not just to his words, but to the things he couldn't say. He starts to understand that love was never about convenience. It was about presence, about effort, about the silent ways you showed up for him, even when he didn't realize he needed you. He scrolls through his phone, searching for someone to talk to. But no one understands him the way you did. He tries to fill the silence with meaningless conversations, but they do not touch his soul. He laughs, but it does not reach his heart. And that is when he understands the loneliness he is feeling is not just about missing you, the man who had someone who truly cared. Loneliness teaches in ways comfort never can. It strips away the illusion that people are replaceable. It forces him to see that attention is not the same as affection, that attraction is not the same as love. It teaches him that real love is not found in the temporary thrill of a new connection, but in the quiet certainty of a bond that has been nurtured over time. He starts to regret the way he took you for granted. He starts to question why he ever thought leaving was a good idea. But by then he realizes something even more painful. Loneliness does not just teach, it punishes. It does not just make him miss you, it makes him understand that he lost something he can never get back. There is something undeniably powerful about a woman who rises from pain, not broken, but reborn. A woman who, instead of drowning in heartbreak, transforms it into fuel for her own growth. And nothing haunts a man more than watching the woman he once took for granted glow without him. At first he does not notice. He assumes you will be the same, waiting, hoping, wondering if he will come back. He believes that time will stand still for him, that your heart will remain open, that you will always be reachable. But then something shifts. He sees you not as the woman he left behind, but as someone unshaken by his absence. He sees you smiling, not with forced happiness, but with an energy that radiates strength. He sees you living, not surviving. And that is when the realization begins to creep in. A man expects a woman to break when he walks away. He expects her to be lost, shattered, questioning her worth, because that is how the world has conditioned him to think that a woman's strength is tied to her relationship, that she needs his validation to shine. But the truth is, when a woman truly discovers herself, she becomes untouchable. She no longer seeks closure, she becomes it. She no longer needs his apologies, she rises beyond them. He starts to notice things he never paid attention to before. The confidence in your voice, the way you carry yourself with a new kind of certainty, the way your laughter sounds different, not as if you're pretending to be happy, but as if you have truly found peace. And that is when the regret sets in. Because the version of you he left is not the version of you that exists now. The woman who once gave him everything is no longer available. Not because she hates him, not because she holds on to bitterness, but because she has stepped into a power she didn't even know she had. He watches as you achieve things he never believed you could. Maybe you start that business you once talked about. Maybe you travel to places you never thought you would. Maybe you simply exist in a way that is free from his expectations, free from his validation. And that is the moment he understands. You was never your source of happiness. You were always your own light. He scrolls through your pictures, not to check if you miss him, but to see if there is any trace of the woman who once belonged to him. He listens to your voice in old messages, trying to remember what it felt like when you spoke to him with love. He replays moments in his mind, wondering if he misjudged, if he underestimated you. But it is too late. Because the woman he sees now does not need him. She does not wait. She does not pause her life in the hope that he will return. She moves forward with grace, with strength, with a radiance that blinds those who thought she would stay in the dark. And that is the kind of glow no man ever forgets. It is the kind of glow that keeps him up at night, wondering why he let go of something so rare. It is the kind of glow that makes him wish he had appreciated you when he had the chance. Because now he realizes the one who truly lost was never you, it was him. A man's return does not always mean love. More often than not, it means regret. Not because he suddenly woke up and realized you were his soulmate, but because the void he tried to fill with distractions, with other people, with his own ego, remains unfilled. He returns because he remembers the warmth of your presence. The way you made him feel like he was enough even on his worst days. He returns because after walking away, he thought freedom would feel lighter, that he would be happier without you. But something inside him shifts when he sees that you are no longer waiting. Men are wired differently. They assume life moves in cycles, that doors will remain open simply because they once had access to them. But they do not realize that time changes everything. The woman they left is not the woman they return to. At first he might convince himself that he's coming back because of love. He tells himself it's because he misses you. But what he misses is not always you. It's the version of himself that felt secure in your love. He regrets not because he values you the way he should have, but because he realizes no one else is willing to pour into him the way you did. Regret is a powerful force. It creeps in slowly, first as nostalgia, then as a deep ache he cannot ignore. He sees you moving on, thriving, finding joy in places where he assumed sadness would live. He thought you would always be reachable, that your heart would remain open. But instead he finds that you have closed the chapter without needing his permission. This is the truth many women fail to see. A man's return does not mean he has changed. It does not mean he suddenly understands your worth. Sometimes it simply means he hates the way regret feels. He remembers the way you cared, how you listened without judgment, how you forgave without hesitation. And when he tries to find that comfort elsewhere, he realizes that what you gave was rare. That kind of love is not easily replaced. Regret makes him wonder if he made the right decision. But here's the thing about regret. It is self-centered. It is not about you, it is about his own discomfort. He does not return because he wants to give more, he returns because he wants to receive again. A woman must learn to differentiate between love and regret. Love is consistent, it is intentional, it does not leave and return when it is convenient. Regret, on the other hand, comes knocking when a man realizes that the comfort he once had is no longer his to claim. He reaches out, not because he wants to build something stronger, but because he cannot bear the thought of you being happy without him. He wants to be sure that a part of you still belongs to him. He tests the waters, sending a simple message. Hey, how have you been? But it is not just a message, it is a question loaded with unspoken emotions. What he truly means is, do you still think of me? Do you still miss me? Is there a chance I can walk back in like nothing happened? And this is where a woman's strength is tested. The woman who still holds on to hope will read into his return, believing it is love. But the woman who has healed will see the truth. Regret is not a foundation for love. It is a reminder of why he left in the first place. He does not return because he is ready to be better. He returns because he cannot bear to see you glowing without him. He thought he could do better, but now he realizes that better was already in front of him. And that is a realization no man enjoys. Not every return is a second chance. Some returns are simply a test. A test to see if you will reopen a door that was meant to stay closed. A test to see if you have grown beyond the version of yourself that once begged for his love. She does not mistake nostalgia for a promise of change. She understands that the past has a way of romanticizing itself, making even the most painful moments look softer than they were. So when he returns, ask yourself, is he coming back because he truly values me? Or is he coming back because he regrets losing the version of me that loved him more than I loved myself? Because the difference between love and regret is simple. Love would have never left in the first place. When a man walks away, he believes he is in control. He thinks he holds the power to leave and return when it suits him. But what he doesn't realize is that the moment he lets go of a woman who truly loved him, he is setting himself up for a lesson he never saw coming. The universe has a way of teaching people the value of what they once had. Through absence, through longing, through the unbearable weight of regret. The greatest power you will ever hold as a woman is the ability to let go of someone who thought you would always wait. When you stop waiting, when you stop hoping for a return, when you stop looking back, that is when your true transformation begins. Because the moment you choose yourself over someone who took you for granted, you shift the balance of power. Regret will haunt the man who thought you were replaceable. He will see you rise in a way he never expected. He will watch from the shadows, wondering how the woman he left in pieces managed to rebuild herself into something untouchable. And that is when the truth will hit him like a storm. He did not break you, he set you free. The world will try to tell you that a man's return is a sign of destiny, that love finds its way back. But hear me when I say this, not every return is love. Some returns are just an echo of regret, a reminder of what he lost, not a promise of what he will give. If love was real, it would not have left. If he truly valued you, he would not have let you go. You are not an option. You are not a backup plan for a man who thought he could do better. You are not a place of convenience for someone who only realizes your worth after losing it. Do not make the mistake of mistaking his regret for love, because love does not abandon. Love does not return only when it is lonely. Love does not knock on your door when it has nowhere else to go. When he comes back, let him feel the weight of his absence. Let him see that you have flourished without him. Let him know that his absence did not destroy you, it built you. Because the truth is, a man's greatest regret is not losing a woman who loved him. It is watching her become something untouchable, something he can never have again. Your silence will speak louder than any words. Your glow will blind him. Your strength will remind him of the choice he made, the choice to walk away from something rare, something real. And by the time he realizes his mistake, it will be too late. Because a woman who has found herself will never lower herself for a man who only sees her worth in hindsight. You were never meant to be someone's lesson. You were meant to be someone's blessing. But the wrong man will only recognize that after he has lost you. And that is his karma, not yours. Your only responsibility is to rise, to shine, to become so unstoppable that when he looks at you, he does not see the woman he left. He sees the woman he can never have again. So when he knocks, let the door remain closed. When he calls, let his number remain unanswered. When he regrets, let him sit with it. Because you are no longer the woman who waits, the woman who pleads, the woman who settles. You are the woman who knows that her worth is not determined by a man's regret. You are the woman who has finally realized that the love you were searching for was never in him. It was always within you.